Good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here, and we are going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'd like to go ahead and do is share my screen with you. And for those of you that are with us brand new today, or maybe for those of you that are watching this as a recording in the future, just want to point out a couple things that are helpful to you. First thing I'd like to point out is we have a Facebook group that coincides with this meetup group. It's called I Want to Be Really Rich and I Do Not Apologize for It, exactly like the name of the meetup group. So what you can do is you can go into your own Facebook profile, find where it says search Facebook, type in I want to be really rich and I do not apologize for it, and you can find us that way, and we ask that you come join us. The other way that you can find us is you can go directly to facebook.com/groups/ I want to be really rich. Now, a couple things to point out about the group. First of all, if we have anything special to announce, bam, we usually like to keep it pinned up at the top. And other thing very important, for instance, you can see here we have recordings. What we like to do, as long as I remember to hit the record button, which I typically do on these meetings, we like to go ahead and record them, and then we go ahead and add those meetings into the group so that you can go ahead and review them. So say, for instance, you attend a meeting today, you really like it, and you want to be able to go over it again. This is where you can find it, typically within the same day or the next day, unless we get behind a little bit. I am behind just a teeny bit right now because I've done a lot of coaching the last few days. So I've got a little catching up to do, but you will find them in here in the near future, what's been going on the last couple of days. The other thing is, let's say that we're in the process of studying a particular material and it's taking us a week or two to go through that material. Then let's say you were there for the first 3 days, but the fourth day you couldn't make it, the fifth day you did, you can always go catch up on the fourth day and know exactly what it was we were talking about and get caught up with the rest of the group if that's something you choose that you want to do. Okay, so speaking about getting caught up, yesterday we did something different. So if yesterday was your first time with us, we went off topic completely because I felt impressed. I felt intuitively through intuition, revelation, inspiration that we needed to do something. So we did do something different. However, we're getting back into the flow of where we were 2 days ago. So 2 days ago, we were in the process of going through a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. It was written by Maxwell Maltz, and Maxwell Maltz is no longer with us, but thank goodness the book that he wrote is in our lives because it is a great book. I'll talk about it a little more in a second, but first let me share with you how you can find it for yourself. I own it on Kindle and I own it on Audible, so you can definitely go purchase the book. However, when possible, if there is a book that we're going through, and it's not always books that we're going through, just sometimes it's other things, but frequently there will be a good book that we're going through. And in this case, there is. So when there is a book, if I can find a free copy of it and tell you where you can get it, I like to do that. And I like to use the free copies so that you can follow along. So I just typed in Psycho-Cybernetics PDF, and what popped up for me, and I did like this one. I saw some others, but this is the one I liked. And let me show you how it showed up, at least for me. It showed up Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz-WordPress.com. And then this particular site, I have no idea what it's about. It doesn't really matter because I'll show you in a moment what happens when you click on it. But it says dingwallesk.files.wordpress.com 20 blah 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 Psycho-Cybernetics. So anyhow, when I clicked on it, here's what came up. And here's what does come up. And this is the copy that we're actually going to be using. It is the copy we started using a few days ago. We actually started this back on, it was actually, I think, Thursday or Friday of last week that we hopped into this book. But anyhow, didn't ask me for name or email address, just like you saw. So I just went ahead and clicked my download button, and now I have a copy of it for myself. So you can go do the same thing. Now, where we are at in the particular book right now is on page number 52. How do I know that? Because I saw it earlier. What I did is I just clicked the back button from where we were, and I try and keep it open to where we were. And that's where we were the other day when we left off. So I'm going to blow this up a bit for you so you can see it better. There we go. Go one more maybe. Let's see. See how it looks on the page first. And it does work. It works to be that size, doesn't cause any problems, and makes it big enough for you guys to see pretty well. All right, so you can obviously see that on my screen. Now, if you want to go get a copy of your own and follow along, go ahead and do that. If you want to wait till after the class, of course, you can go ahead and do that. And because I'm just going to be sharing my screen right now, and you'll be able to follow along that way. So here's how things go moving forward for today. I'm going to do some reading, and I'm going to actually give some commentary where I think it's appropriate and useful and helpful. And then what we're going to do is have a discussion, okay? You're going to get the opportunity to talk and ask questions and share what you want to share. So I'm telling you that right now in case you're biting, you're chomping at the bit to say something, and so you start typing into chat. Need you to understand that I'm not going to be paying attention to chat. But what we like to do, and this has worked out well for us since we got started at the beginning in November, that we will give you the opportunity to share and ask questions the last usually 10 or 15 minutes of our class. Right? If you want to call it a class, you can call it a class if you want. You can call it anything you like. I'm not even sure what we want to call this, but this is our Zoom meeting. Some people call it a class. Some people call it a study group. Some people call it coaching, training, whatever. The main point is we're here to help you become aware of how to manifest more money and wealth in your life. And we need to understand things about ourselves. It's not just important to understand law of attraction. It's not just important to be taught what money is. It's not just important to learn what entrepreneurship is or investing. We can understand those things, but if we don't understand ourselves and how we function, we may have some subconscious programming going on in the background that gets in the way of us receiving what we want in our life. So Psycho-Cybernetics, phenomenal book at helping us understand what is going on inside of us. And if we like the results we have on the outside, then the inside doesn't need to change at all. So for most of us, there are things on the inside that are going to have to change. And those things are programs. Those things are kind of locked into us. Not kind of, they're definitely locked into us on a subconscious level. And they're in opposition to what it is that we truly want in our lives. So Maxwell Maltz is explaining how we cannot outgrow our own self-image. Whatever we have as a personal self-image today, and let's say our self-image, we've had the same income, give or take a little bit, for the, let's say, last 3, 4, 5, 10 years. Maybe we get cost of living raises, maybe we get inflation raises, I don't know. But for the most part, let's pretend that our income is sitting somewhere around $60,000. Yours may be more, maybe less. But if it's been sitting there for the roughly, okay, give or take 5 grand or so, 10 grand, if it's been sitting there for the last several years, but you've wanted it to be quite a bit more than that, but you haven't successfully been able to get that to happen, or maybe you got ahead for a while and then you kind of go backwards, like maybe you had a $70,000, $80,000, maybe $100,000 a year, but then the next year you find yourself back close to 60 all over again, or even worse, you go up to 70 or 80, and then the following year you're down to 40 or 50. That is your subconscious mind trying to normalize you back to close to 60. It works in that way. So you have to get it programmed differently. So not only can you reach that 100,000 or greater, but so that you can continue to grow from there. If you don't do that, then you will get stuck. Now I'm talking about money, but that happens in other areas of our life. Okay. So I'm going to hop in. This is why we're going through this particular book, because it is very helpful in helping you understand what's going on and more importantly, what to do about it. And we have gone through, we're on page 52 of 304. So we've done this for, let's see, what do we got into this? About 4 days study, roughly. So again, you may want to get your own copy, get caught up, or watch the videos and get caught up. Imagination, the first key to your success mechanism. I'm going to grab a sip of water here and we'll get going with this. Imagination plays a far more important role in our lives than most of us realize. I've seen this demonstrated many times in my practice. And when he says practice, just so you know, for background, he was a plastic surgeon. A particularly memorable instance of this fact concerned a patient who was literally forced to visit my office by his family. He was a man of about 40, unmarried, who held down a routine job during the day and kept himself in his room when the workday was over, never going anywhere, never doing anything. He had had many jobs and never seemed able to stay with any of them for any great length of time. His problem was that he had a rather large nose and ears that protruded a little more than is normal. He considered himself ugly and funny looking. He imagined that the people he came in contact with during the day were laughing at him and talking about him behind his back because he was so odd. His imaginings grew so strong that he actually feared going out in the business world and moving among people. He hardly felt safe even in his own home. The poor man even imagined that his family, I don't know what MS means, but I'm going to say this was his, that's a typo. His family was ashamed of him because he was peculiar looking, not like other people. Actually, his facial deficiencies were not serious. His nose was of the classical Roman type, and his ears, though somewhat large, attracted no more attention than those of thousands of people with similar ears. In desperation, his family brought him to me to see if I could help him. I saw that he did not need surgery, only an understanding of the fact that his imagination had wrought such havoc with his self-image that he had lost sight of the truth. He was not really ugly. People did not consider him odd and laugh at him because of his appearance. His imagination alone was responsible for his misery. His imagination had set up an automatic negative failure mechanism within him, and it was operating full blast to his extreme misfortune. Fortunately, after several sessions with him, and with the help of his family, he was able gradually to realize that the power of his own imagination was responsible for his plight. And he succeeded in building up a true self-image and achieving the confidence he needed by applying creative imagination rather than destructive imagination. Creative imagination is not something reserved for the poets, the philosophers, the inventors. It enters into our every act. For imagination sets the goal, picture, which our automatic mechanism works on. We act or fail to act, not because of will, as it is so commonly believed, but because of imagination. A human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance with what he imagines to be true about himself and his environment. Let me repeat that. A human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance with what he imagines to be true about himself and his environment. This is a basic and fundamental law of mind. It is the way we are built. When we see this law of mind graphically and dramatically demonstrated in a hypnotized subject, we are prone to think that there is something occult or supranormal at work. Actually, what we are witnessing is the normal operating processes of the human brain and nervous system. For example, if a good hypnotic subject is told that he is at the North Pole, he will not only shiver and appear to be cold, his body will react just as if it were cold, and goose pimples will develop. The same phenomena has been demonstrated on wide awake college students by asking them to imagine that one hand is immersed in ice water. Thermometer readings show that the temperature does drop in the treated hand. Tell a hypnotized subject that your finger is a red hot poker, and he will not only grimace with pain at your touch, but his cardiovascular and lymphatic systems will react just as if your finger were a red hot poker and produce inflammation and perhaps a blister on the skin. When college students, wide awake, have been told to imagine that a spot on their forehead was hot, temperature readings have shown an actual increase in skin temperature. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between an imagined experience and a real experience. In either case, it reacts automatically to information which you give it to it from your forebrain. Your nervous system reacts appropriately to what you think or imagine to be true. The secret of hypnotic power. Dr. Theodore Xenophon Barber has conducted extensive research in the phenomena of hypnosis, both when he was associated with the psychology department of American University in Washington, D.C., and also after becoming associated with the Laboratory of Social Relations at Harvard. Writing in the Science Digest recently, he said, "We found that hypnotic subjects are able to do surprising things only when convinced that the hypnotist's words are true statements. When the hypnotist has guided the subject to the point where he is convinced that the hypnotist's words are true statements, the subject then behaves differently because he thinks and believes differently. The phenomena of hypnosis have always seemed mysterious because it has always been difficult to understand how belief can bring about such unusual behavior. It always seemed as if there must be something more, some unfathomable force or power at work. However, the plain truth is that when a subject is convinced that he is deaf, he behaves as if he is deaf. When he is convinced that he is insensitive to pain, he can undergo surgery without anesthesia. The mysterious force or power does not exist. A little reflection will show why it is a very good thing for us that we do feel and act according to what we believe or imagine to be true. Truth determines action and behavior. The human brain and nervous system are engineered to react automatically and appropriately to the problems and challenges in the environment. For example, a man does not need to stop and think that self-survival requires that he run if he meets a grizzly bear on a trail. He does not need to decide to become afraid. The fear response is both automatic and appropriate. First, it makes him want to flee. The fear then triggers the bodily mechanisms which soup up his muscles so that he can run faster than he has ever run before. His heartbeat is quickened, adrenaline, a powerful muscle stimulant, is poured into the bloodstream. All bodily functions not necessary to running are shut down. The stomach stops working, and all available blood is sent to the muscles. Breathing is much faster, and the oxygen supply to the muscles is increased manyfold. All this, of course, is nothing new. Most of us learned it in high school. What we have not been so quick to realize, however, is that the brain and nervous system, which reacts automatically to environment, is the same brain and nervous system which tells us what the environment is. The reactions of the man meeting the bear are commonly thought of as due to emotion rather than to ideas. Yet it was an idea, information received from the outside world and evaluated by the forebrain, the conscious mind, which sparked the so-called emotional reactions. Thus, it was basically idea or belief, which was the true causative agent rather than emotion, which came as a result. In short, the man on the trail reacted to what he thought or believed or imagined the environment to be. The messages brought to us from the environment consist of nerve impulses from the various sense organs. These nerve impulses are decoded, interpreted, and evaluated in the brain and made known to us in form of ideas or mental images. In the final analysis, it is these mental images that we react to. You act and feel not according to what things are really like, but according to the image your mind holds of what they are like. Let me repeat that. You act and feel not according to what things are really like, but according to the image your mind holds of what they are like. You have certain mental images of yourself, your world, and the people around you, and you behave as though these images were the truth, the reality, rather than the things they represent. Let us suppose, for example, that the man on the trail had not met a real bear, but a movie actor dressed in a bear costume. If he thought and imagined the actor to be a bear, his emotional and nervous reactions would have been exactly the same. Or let us suppose that he met a large shaggy dog with his fear-ridden imagination, or which his fear-ridden imagination mistook for a bear. Again, he would react automatically to what he believed to be true concerning himself and his environment. It follows that if our ideas and mental images concerning ourselves are distorted or unrealistic, then our reaction to our environment will likewise be inappropriate. Why not imagine yourself successful? Realizing that our actions, feelings, and behavior are the result of our own images and beliefs gives us the lever that psychology has always needed for changing personality. It opens a new psychological door to gaining skill, success, and happiness. Mental pictures offer us an opportunity to practice new traits and attitudes, which otherwise we could not do. This is possible because, again, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between an actual experience and one that is vividly imagined. If we picture ourselves performing in a certain manner, it is nearly the same as an actual performance. Mental practice helps to make it perfect. In a controlled environment, psychologist R.A. Vendel proved that mental practice in throwing darts at a target, wherein the person sits for a period each day in front of the target and imagines throwing darts at it, improves aim as much as actually throwing darts. Let me repeat this, guys, okay? This is the power that's going on for our betterment or for our destruction, depending on the program, depending on our self-image. In a controlled experiment, psychologist R.A. Vendel proved that mental practice in throwing darts at a target, wherein the person sits for a period each day in front of the target and imagines throwing darts at it, improves aim as much as actually throwing darts. Research Quarterly reports an experiment on the effects of mental practice on improving skill in sinking basketball free throws. One group of students actually practiced throwing the ball every day for 20 days and were scored on the first and last days. A second group was scored on the first and last days and engaged in no sort of practice in between. A third group was scored on the first day, then spent 20 minutes a day imagining that they were throwing the ball at the goal. When they missed, they would imagine that they corrected their aim accordingly. The first group, which actually practiced 20 minutes every day, improved in scoring 24%. The second group, which had no sort of practice, showed no improvement. The third group, which practiced in their imagination, improved in scoring 23%. Almost almost the same as the ones that actually did it physically. How imagination practice won a chess championship. An April 1955 issue of Reader's Digest contained an article from the Rotarian by Joseph Phillips called Chess, They Call It a Game. In this article, Phillips tells us how the great chess champion Capablanca was so superior to all the competition that it was believed by experts that he would never be beaten in match play. Yet he lost the championship to a rather obscure player, Alekhine, who had given no hint that he even posed a serious threat to the great Capablanca. The chess world was stunned by the upset, which today would be comparable to a Golden Gloves finalist defeating the heavyweight champion of the world. Phillips tells us that Alekhine had trained for the match very much like a boxer conditioning himself for a fight. He retired to the country, cut out smoking and drinking, and did calisthenics. For 3 months, he played chess only in his mind, building up steam for the moment when he would meet the champion. Mental pictures could help you sell more goods. In his book, How to Make $25,000 a Year Selling, obviously this book was written a long time ago, because that probably would not be anybody's goal today. Charles B. Roth tells how a group of salesmen in Detroit who tried a new idea increased their sales 100%. Another group in New York increased their sales by 150%. And individual salesmen using the same idea have increased their sales up to 400%. And what is the magic that accomplishes so much for salesmen? It is something called role playing, and you should know about it, because if you will let it, it may help you to double your sales. What is role playing? Well, it is simply imagining yourself in various sales situations, then solving them in your mind until you know what to say and what to do whenever the situation comes up in real life. This is what is called on the football field skull practice. The reason why it accomplishes so much is that selling is simply a matter of situations. One is created every time you talk to a customer. He says something or asks a question or raises an objection. If you always know how to counter what he says or answer his question or handle the objection, you make sales. A role-playing salesman at night when he is alone will create these situations. He will imagine the prospect throwing the widest kind of curves at him. Then he will work out the best answer to them. No matter what the situation is, you can prepare for it beforehand by means of imagining yourself and your prospect face to face while he is raising objections and creating problems, and you're handling them properly. Use mental pictures to get a better job. Let's see what time. We are going to pick up there tomorrow. All right. Hey, some more people joined us. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And trying to see if there's anybody here who has not been here before. Okay, I'm going to ask a favor of you guys and gals. I've asked the favor before, but it doesn't seem that you guys, you help me out for a moment, then you quit. Most of you, I'm not saying all of you, but here's a favor I asked for. I've watched it happen last week a couple times where I noticed that a new person was hopping on before any of you guys showed up. They maybe hopped on only 3 minutes early, but myself and them, and I wasn't ready to go yet. So 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes early, that's all they were. They hopped on, they saw nobody here, they left, and they didn't come back because they thought it was only going to be me and them. Now, since they don't know me, they don't know that that could actually be a positive experience if it was just me and them. But they didn't know that. So you guys keep skipping coming in until I'm done with my intro, which you know is pretty much going to be the same every time. but that doesn't help me. It doesn't help us grow and add in the people that really would like to be here, but are maybe a little bit shy, or they go, well, shoot, this group's been going on for months now. This is my first time showing up and nobody else showed up but me. I feel like an idiot for being here. So I'm going to ask you guys to please get on at least 2 to 3 minutes before we start. If you absolutely can't, I get it. But I think what most of you guys are doing are going, oh, Kevin's just going to say what he always says in the introduction. And occasionally I say something different, but you know what? You're pretty much right. But I'm doing you a favor by being here. So I would ask you to do me a favor by showing up a couple minutes early, so that when new people, 2 or 3 minutes early, so that if new people show up and don't, they'll see that there are other people participating besides just them and myself. Because again, I don't even pop on till about 10 o'clock to tell everybody that we get started in about 2 minutes. And why have I needed to do that? The only reason I start 2 minutes later is because you guys haven't been showing up on time. So please help me out, and I will continue to help you guys out. Okay, so you guys know the drill though. You've been here before. Every one of you looks familiar to me. So this is your time to ask questions, and this is your time to share whatever it is that you would like to share. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
This is Francine.
Hi, Francine.
So I missed Monday and Tuesday, and I was able to catch up from Monday's reading. I have not been able to catch up with Tuesday because I don't see it. And I checked again just a few minutes before this call.
And I said, and if you would have listened, what I said in the introduction today, that obviously there were very few people here in the introduction, that I've had a bunch of coaching recordings that I've done this past week because I've been working a lot coaching, and I haven't been able to get all the videos rendered yet. So I'm just working on getting caught up. It'll be there.
Great. Yep. Wonderful. I was just wondering if it had been recorded or not.
Yeah, they're all there. They're just not all rendered yet, and until they're rendered, I can't put them into YouTube. So
I understand being busy and all, not a problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Question. It's Rika.
Hi, Rika.
Is it more effective to practice mentally through all the steps of a process you want to go through, or is it more effective to role play with somebody else?
Here's what I would say. Do both.
Okay.
I would do both if you can find the right person to do it with. Yeah, but if you think about what was said about, I mean, the underlying, what he's trying to show here is that, hey, look, our bodies, our nervous system, our mind, it doesn't know the difference between if we're just doing it in thought or we're physically doing something. So what we saw in the basketball results were this, right? 24% increase. The people did nothing. The people who did mental, they had 23% increase, which was pretty darn close to 24. Well, what if the person had practiced shooting free throws every day for half an hour, and then mentally went and practiced shooting or shot 20 free throws, whatever it was they were doing, and then another part of the day decided to do it in their mind? Do you think they might have improved even more? I think they would have. But we don't know, because nobody, they didn't do that experiment. But I know for myself, the more that I could do to impress upon my subconscious what it is that I'm striving for, and I do it in a positive, happy, joyful way, the more quickly it does get impressed in there. And typically the faster things will show up for me. So both are fine. If you can find someone, great. I wouldn't stress out about it though, because you can always do it yourself in your imagination. And you could ask God to help you find a partner if you want somebody to practice with. Because somebody else out there probably would want to practice too in the company. I imagine that's what you're talking about, right? Practicing
Yeah.
with somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Hey, Kevin, it's David. How you doing?
Good. Hey, David, and you were the one guy that did show up just before we started. The only one. Thank you. I appreciate it, David. You got a question or comment?
Oh yeah, just a comment. I've been having knee pain, and I finally just said, you know what, let me work on my mind with this knee pain. Literally, instantly, no knee pain. So I just wanted to share that you know, I just told myself.
So what you hopefully everybody else can hear you. You cut out. I'm curious what it is that you actually told yourself. What did you tell yourself?
Really, it's been going on in and out. The pain in my leg been going in and out. And I was just listening yesterday, and yesterday I was just like, you want to know what? It's not real. It's just not.
Awesome.
And ran to the other side of the house, and I felt nothing at all. And literally, when I feel just a little bit, I check myself right away, and it's gone. And I'm like, I've bought like these massage guns for my leg. I've bought you know, a Bengay for my leg. And I've always just been thinking about it, just thinking about, man, it hurts right here, hurts right here. And I just finally got rid of it. I just finally got rid of the negative talk. And I just said, no more pain. And I believe it. And literally, no more pain. I'm running. It's all good. And that happened yesterday and even today. So I'm good at the gym.
That's awesome. Awesome.
I just wanted to share that.
Yeah. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh. Hello, Kevin.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm terrific. How are you? Am I pronouncing it right if I say Shatta?
Shada, yes.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I would like to share a comment that
Okay.
regarding imagination. And I learned this recently. Actually, sometimes I was imagine the stuff without any feelings, and I was wondering why it doesn't work. Then I read this and I start to practice it. Support the imagination process with positive feelings.
Yeah. That's awesome that you figured it out. Yeah, that is what we're doing, is we're taking what it is that we want to be and we want to have manifest in our physical reality, and we're going
Yes.
through a process that will create positive feeling about it. Now, if we start out with negative feeling, we truly want it, but we start out with negative feeling, then we know, okay, it's just my subconscious mind, you know, pushing back based on programming that's in there. But I'm still can go into my imagination and have fun with it. And you just continue to do that in your imagination, and you have fun with it, you have joy with it, and you stay with the intention that that is really your life, and what is currently is no longer, meaning your life is unfolding the way you want, and what's in your imagination is real, and what's in the outside world is not real anymore. Eventually, your subconscious mind will accept that, and it will still, you know, it doesn't, we don't sit there and meditate until we always feel 100% every moment good all the time. What we need to do is once we receive intuition, revelation, inspiration, however you want to refer to it, when we receive that intuitive, do this thing, whatever this thing is, and it could be simple. It could be saying, shut up and be still. Okay. It could be saying, make a phone call to this person. It could be saying, hey, check your email, and you check, and all of a sudden there was something there that you missed before. or something popped up that day, or something says, text this person, or go this place, or spend this money on this thing for yourself, or help this person do something. Whatever it is that you intuitively start feeling like you're supposed to do, follow that step. That's going to be your most important thing to do next. It may not take you all the way to the finish line, but that is the important thing to do, is follow that feeling that comes. And then you might be asked by that feeling to do something that is uncomfortable. And the only reason it feels uncomfortable is not because it's not supposed to be what you're doing. It's because the intuition's coming from God in the universe. The reason it feels uncomfortable is your subconscious mind is battling you with it. But as long as you follow what God and the universe tell you to do and you take that action, sometimes it's going to feel totally natural and comfortable, but sometimes it's going to feel uncomfortable. But when you know that that is your intuition speaking to you, you can't, well, you can do anything you want. You should not ignore it. You should do whatever it says, even if it's telling you to do something that is totally in opposition to what your subconscious mind thinks you want to do. Because your subconscious mind is going to try and convince you that that's not the thing to do. And God and the universe are saying that's the thing you need to do right now. But the feelings that you're talking about, it's not just a thought. So that's perfect. You're talking about this. It's not just a thought that we have to impress upon subconscious. It's the emotion attached to the thought that creates the vibration. Because some of us can think of, I'm going to throw out a food, okay? Some of us can hear the word broccoli. Okay, I'm going to say that again, broccoli.
Broccoli.
And some of you went, and some of you went, gross. Or some form of that. It's not broccoli that created the emotion. Broccoli, just thinking about broccoli, if you didn't have any emotional attachment to broccoli, some of you had broccoli, you just heard the word broccoli and you saw a picture of broccoli and you didn't think positive or negative about it because you didn't have any experience with broccoli that would make you feel positive or negative. But for those of you who've eaten broccoli and you're like, stuff is awesome, you have a positive experience when somebody says the word broccoli and you envision broccoli. And another person can hear the word broccoli and they want to go to the bathroom and go get by the toilet because they think they're getting ready to, I'm talking very extreme here, but but we could say the word dog. And if your experience is you were chased and bit by a dog, you're not going to have the same thought process about a dog as somebody who, plays with their puppies every day and enjoys doing that. So we have to understand that what is out there has no meaning until we give it meaning. Let me repeat that. What is out there has no meaning until we give it a meaning.
Okay.
It just is. We're the ones that give everything meaning. We're the ones that tell a story, or we're the ones a story has been told to by our upbringing, by our parents, our family, our friends, our environment, our associates. And we didn't even create our own meaning. That's what's crazy. Most of us haven't picked our own meaning for things. We've picked other people's meaning for things and then just took on that meaning for ourselves. Sometimes we go actually experience something that others told us, ooh, don't do that. And we go experience it. And it's like the most awesome, fun thing that we've done in a while. But for somebody else, they'd be like, oh man, that would suck. I don't want to do that. Well, I think we miss out on a lot of things because we take other people's meanings and we place those on things and then it becomes our meaning. We haven't even taken the time to experience it yet to decide for ourselves what we want it to mean.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, hi Kevin, it's Takira.
Hey, Takira.
Hi, I have a question. Well, kind of a aha moment because I was literally sitting here about an hour or two ago, and I did what you said last night about writing what you like down, and I did the things that I liked. So I'm assuming that that's why this happened. But I got this weird wording in my mind to move my television and my entertainment set into my bedroom. And I was just like sitting here. I got up at 5. I did my LLC by myself, which I was told I was going to have to pay a lawyer $800. But something led me to get up so early, get it done. And then the thought said, move your entertainment set, because that way I think it's going to show how I'm ready to have my daycare now. And then I was on the phone with my coach, and she's like, we need to do a grand opening, a virtual grand opening. And I said, wow, that sounds so far-fetched, but it made me smile. So I think those two things are like buzzing at me to do. And they feel uncomfortable for me because I haven't moved it yet. Because I've been sitting here in awe, like, that's the most, not dumbest thing to do, but it's so minute. But I think it might be God's way of saying, oh, obey. It might lead to something great. But it's weird that we're just talking about it, and I feel uncomfortable doing it, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I would do it. Absolutely. Can't harm anything.
This is scary stuff because it starts to work for you and you're just like, uh-oh, let me follow it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not making rocket science.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that.
It's awesome. It's when it becomes, and by the way, it actually happens to all of us more than we think, but we're so loud with our life that we don't hear it and feel it. It actually happens. That's why we got to slow things down, calm down, feel good, so that God can say, finally, you turn the music, and right, you turn the outside music down low enough that you can hear me. But I'm not going to sit here and try and compete with the concert that's going on, because you're playing this concert or you're at a movie all the time, right? Where we're always trying, it's always loud, and we don't take time for it to be quiet enough, because God's not going to shout at us. The only typical time he's going to shout is if he needs a shout to help us avoid some form of danger, like we got to do it like that. For the most part, though, the way we're spoken to, it's a feeling, and it's only recognizable when we shut up.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Because I was sitting here and it was so peaceful. It was early and it was quiet. I had no worries. I was just thinking about what makes me smile and just listening to music. And then it just spoke to me like loud and clear, but small. Like it was just weird. It was just like, I just looked back behind me and I saw the TV, and I just heard God say, move that TV in your bedroom. And I've been wanting a TV for my bedroom anyway. So it kind of works out. And I didn't want the children to have this big 50-inch TV. What if it falls on them? So I'm like, okay, God, I get what you're doing. I'm just going to follow his lead.
Awesome.
Thank you, Captain.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else?
Hi, Kevin. I'm feeling a little stuck. So here's why. So I manifested like more opportunities with voiceover, and I don't even have like an agent or like a demo reel of like my abilities and all that kind of stuff. So what happened was I took a voiceover class, and one of the teachers, the class like ended a few weeks ago, but one of the teachers submitted me for 2 roles. A cast director had emailed me, and I submitted my audition right away. I got it done. And then that was.
Shoot, you're breaking up for just a little bit. Hopefully, I heard you submitted, and that's where you stopped.
Okay, so I submitted my audition. Well, let me just backtrack just in case. So she submitted me for 2 roles.
Yeah.
And the casting director then got back to me. She emailed me about it and gave me the sides for the audition on Thursday night last week.
Cool.
And so I did it right away. And then I didn't hear anything back. But then Monday, the teacher who submitted me, she was asking me about it. And I said, I submitted my audition. And then she said, send me the MP3s. I sent it to her. She offered to coach me for free. So we just like redid it, tweaked a few things. And then she told me to like edit them together, put them together, and then send them to her that night. And I did. And that was Monday, and I haven't heard anything back from her. And I don't know if I should email her or if I should email the casting director with my new auditions, or if I feel like I'm bugging them,
Sure.
or if I'm too attached to the situation. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So first thing I would do today, when we're done with this, unless you got something specific you have to go do, is go do something you enjoy doing. Go have some fun, go do something you enjoy doing. And here's what I would express to God right before you go do that, something to this effect. You know, dear God, I've done what I feel is right, and I've been trying to follow intuition, inspiration, and revelation. And so far, here's what I've done. Right now, I don't know if I should or should not contact them. And I want to do what is for my highest and best good. For now, I'm going to go have a good time. And I leave it in your hands to work behind the scenes to touch the minds and hearts of all who are involved with this. And when I come back, if there's something specific that you want me to do today, I'll do it. If not, I'm just going to continue to go about my day. And when you're ready for me to make a move, I'll make that move. But for now, I'm going to leave the ball in their court. And I trust that you will take care of things behind the scenes for me. And when the time is right, I'll do what you asked me to do. How does that feel?
Okay, that sounds good. I wrote it down.
Okay.
And I'll look back at the recording and stuff like that when all the other ones are rendered and this is rendered too. Thank you so much. Part of me is like, just send a quick email with the MP3s, and another part is like,
Okay. Well, then you know what? If that part doesn't feel bad, then just do it, and then say I've done what I can do. Same thing. I not only did I do this so far, but I went ahead and sent the revised versions that have been edited correctly. And if that, so now they've got everything that I could send them. I just want to have peace of mind that you're doing things behind the scenes. And if this is meant to be, that's terrific. If not, I know something better is on its way very soon.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey, this is David again. I would just say, just do it. Just do it. You got a better product now, just do it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's what I said in a softer way once she did it, right? But occasionally there are reasons to not do something. So there's nothing wrong with asking God as long as we're ready to do whatever he says. If he immediately says, do it, Takira. Now, I don't think you're in any trouble right now because you didn't move the TV, before you got on our call. But I recommend that you get it done as quickly as possible. There's some reason for it. So I would do it. So yes, David, 99.9% of the time, just do it. I treat God as my business partner and my life partner. And I treat him as chairman of the board and I'm the CEO. So I do make a lot of decisions, but I also know too that he knows a lot more than I do. And I find that I'm not bothering him by asking, as long as I'm not asking because I'm trying to stall. If I'm trying to stall doing what he actually says I should go do, because I think it's going to be uncomfortable, then that's not necessarily the right way to be about it. But I also know too that he's very understanding and forgiving. And that's why there's the law of forgiveness, not just the law of karma. So I trust that when I do make a mistake, that I can't make any mistake that's too big for God to fix. And as long as I feel that way about it, then I don't have to take anything over seriously. I can look at everything and go, hey, this or something better. If I mess it up, God can help fix it. If I make a mistake, that's fine. This or something better. And I can have a lot more peace in my life because I'm not worried like I used to be for most of my life about trying to do everything right. So thank you. That is a good comment though. And most of the time, I think we know what we should do. And again, if we're not just trying to avoid doing it, if we truly need some extra guidance, but it never hurts to say even, hey, God, I'm about to do this. And not like, hey, I'm about to do this. Stop me if I'm not supposed to, even though he already said, don't do it. That's different also. If he already said, don't do it, but you decided you're going to do it, and you're saying, stop me if I shouldn't, and you already know that you're not supposed to, right? The whole thing is about doing. When we receive that intuition, inspiration, revelation, it's important to do it. It's important to follow that and to learn what that feels like. And we've got to be quiet often enough so that we can receive that. Sometimes things can be loud and we'll receive it, but more often than not, we need things to quiet and calm down before we can actually understand what God's trying to tell us.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. Anybody else have anything before we go? Okie dokie. Well, you are welcome to, somebody asked for this yesterday. We've got some new people. I say new, I know all of you. But what I mean by new is people here today that weren't here yesterday. Let me do something for you real quick that might be helpful. If you would like to, and you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to do anything. That's the cool thing about it. That's the agency we've been given. We get to choose what we want to think about. But I'm going to give you the link to the next meeting so that you can register for it. That way, if you want to show up today, you can, or if you want to show up sometime in the future, you can. But so that you at least have the link to it. Let me, once it pops up, I'll get it to you. This will be the next session. And all right. Go into chat here. And here's the link for the noon California time session. And even though it functions just like this one, the material that we're actually in is different material than we're in on this one. So obviously you're invited, love to have you there. Also understand too that if you're not, I get it. Okay, not saying you have to be there. If you feel intuitively that you ought to be there, then come join us. If you feel like you just want to be there, come join us. If God and the universe say, no, there's something else you need to go do right now, then go do that and ignore what I'm telling you. All right. Thank you guys and gals for being here. Please help me out by showing up, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, so that if new people show up, they don't feel like, hey, this has been going on for 3 months and there's one person here, me, and then this Kevin dude. Okay. So that they'll recognize that, hey, this is actually a dynamic group that is functioning very well. By the way, the reason I shut my video off a little bit ago was just so I could get better bandwidth so I could hear you guys. So I'm not hiding from you or anything. Here I am. Okay. Thank you guys. And I'll see some of you in a little while, and I'll hopefully see the rest of you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome.